What would you say are some of the things that can hinder the strength of a marriage?
Um, I think other people. Sometimes you just got to keep other people out your business. You don't want to always be running to mom and dad to complain about your spouse and say, well, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. And then you come back with ideas from other people like, yeah, well, I think you need to do this, this, and that. And it's like, where did you get that from? Well, my mom said, oh, your mom? Like, your mom's not supposed to be in our marriage. You know what I'm saying? And then you got that. Then you got other relationships outside of your marriage that may be of the opposite sex. I'm a firm believer that my wife is my best friend. I can't have another female best friend. Like, my wife is my best friend. So when I have issues, I could talk to my wife. Now, I have male friends that I could talk to about male stuff that I can't really talk to my wife about, but I don't have another female best friend. I don't care if I knew this female before we got married or not. Once I'm married, that other person is taking a serious fallback, because if you're in a relationship with your wife and every time you get into a difficult conversation, you pick up the phone and call another female because she's easier to talk to and she's been your friend since before you got married. So, you know what I'm saying? What's the big deal? You are opening a door to some serious problems. That, and you got just the chick on the side that's just like, yo, I have no problem being a side chick. Like, what's good? You want to run from that.
Fast. Like,
really
yo,
fast.
You better get your Usain Bolt on, baby. Like,
yo,
run.
Another story I got. I used to work at a factory. Like, yo, I used to work at a factory. And at this time I was working at this factory, me and my wife were having a difficult season in our marriage. So we're constantly arguing, constantly trying to figure out how we're going to make our relationship work. And so every day was a difficult thing. I mean, I'd be praying every day. We'd be praying together, but it just seemed like it wasn't getting together. I go to work. I see this girl sitting by herself. I was always the type of person where I like to witness to people. And so I was like, yo, she's sitting by herself. It's a perfect opportunity for me to witness to her. So I walked up to her. I said, hey, how you doing? My name is, I'm saying, whatever it is. And I was just like, yo, you know what I'm saying? What you know about Jesus? Whoopty wop. You know what I mean? So we start talking. And then my out, whenever I used to witness to women, which I don't witness to women anymore, really. After that, I stopped doing it. But my out used to always be, I'm married, my wife is whatever, and our relationship is so dope. We've been married for X amount of years. And that usually made the female person say, oh, and then I could see the sparkle in their eye turn off. And then we would just have a regular conversation as friends. I did that to this one young lady, and the sparkle never left. She just was like, oh, so you married? I was like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And she was like, yeah, so how's your marriage going? I was like, you know, marriage is marriage. It's good times, bad times, whatever. But, you know what I'm saying? Let's get back to what I was talking about, though. Jesus and this and that. She's like, yeah, but, like, I'm trying to focus on your marriage, like, you know what I'm saying? Because if your marriage is not good and, you know what I'm saying, maybe you need to, like, talk to somebody else if it's not going good. You know what I'm saying? We could be talking. And I was like, oh, man, what did I just do? And this was an attractive person. You know what I'm saying? It's easy to walk away from somebody that's not attractive. It's like, yo.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're not attracted to me, so no. but when the person is attractive, it's like, okay, I'm probably going to stop talking to you. I'm just going to get up and leave. And she's like, well, you know what I'm saying? Let's finish talking about Jesus, though. And right then I realized, wow, what did I just do? And then I have to see this person every day. I go home. There's arguments because at this particular time, we're struggling in our marriage. I come to work, smiling in my face, talking to me. Yeah, remember you talked to me yesterday about Jesus? Da, da, da. And I'm like, I'm literally avoiding this person. Like, I would see them and walk the other way. I would try to not be where they was at. And this started out as a good intention. I saw this person. I said, oh, they're by themselves. I'm good with talking to people when they by themselves. I could bring up Jesus and whoopty wop. All I got to do is tell them I'm married, and then boom, that's going to cancel that out. And it just, that didn't work.
She was on assignment, bruh. She was ready for you. Yo.
Yeah. And I just, you know what I'm saying? It was very difficult. I ended up getting fired from that job for something that I shouldn't have been fired for, but I was so happy to be fired. That was one of the only times I was super happy to be fired. I was like, yes, I'll never see that person again.
Yeah, that's real though, man. That's so real. It's so interesting how certain things can, kind of, for lack of a better term, pop up at what would seem like the, imperfect time.
Right,
it
exactly.
seems like it's the perfect time, but it's really not. It's really setting itself up for a perfect storm and not for anything beautiful and wonderful to happen. So, yeah, man, we have to be so mindful of that. And it's truly a blessing that you were able to get out of that situation. And
yes, it was.
Man, oh man.
It was an awesome blessing. It was really, I cannot explain to you the joy I had when I got fired from that job. I just really can't. Because it was like, this person, I really did feel like they were on assignment. Because it was pulling on me, like on the inside. Like, I go home, I gotta fight, I gotta argue, I come to work. And this person is not. It's basically like the opposite of that. And I was literally running. Like, she's over there. I'm going to walk over here. And she used to always sit by herself. Now she's sitting where the main people sit at, where I'm sitting at for lunch. And I remember one time I got up from the table. She came and sat down. I said a few words to her. I got up from the table and I walked to my locker and she got up from the table. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stop in my locker and then I'm going to let her walk by. I didn't even need anything in my locker. So I stopped in my locker and my locker was on the floor. So I knelt down on the floor and I'm just turning the combination lock. Just mad times waiting for her to walk by. I'm not even trying to open it. I'm just spinning it around. And I see her feet and then she just stopped where I was at.
Wow.
And I was like, okay. And then one of my friends who I was telling about the situation at work, he was kind of being like a block for me. So like he saw her standing there, then he walked up and was like, hey, yo, you know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, blah. And let's go walk over here. And he kind of grabbed her and then walked away with her. And I just was like, yes.
Brothers in Christ. I
tell you what, he wasn't even a Christian person. This was just.
He don't have to be. He was a brother in Christ that day.
He sure was. He was.
He was a brother in Christ that day.
Yep.
Man, I tell you, man, like most people, not to kind of go off tangent or anything, but we have to be so mindful of the fact that the enemy, the Bible says that he walks around like a roaring lion for a reason, man. He's always looking for a chance to pounce. He's always going to come back around and try to get us when we weak. Cause that's the thing. We have to understand that the enemy only wants to attack when we're weak. It's just like any type of hunter. I mean, when you think about lions, they're the most ferocious beasts in the jungle or, in the Sahara or whatever the case, man. But the thing about it is they don't go after the strongest animal. If you actually watch lions hunt, they always go for the weak animal. They always go for the animal that's the easiest one to catch. Yes, they want that easy prey. And it's the same thing with the enemy. He waits till we are at not necessarily our weakest, but definitely in position where we're more susceptible to his attacks. And like I said, man, when you said that young lady, when you told her, let me talk about Jesus, and she was like, nah, forget about Jesus. Let's talk about your marriage.
Right.
That to me was a clear sign she is on assignment. Like somebody be like, nah, forget Jesus. Can we go back to your marriage? When you said that's the eye, like, hold up, though. What is going on over here?
Yeah, it was really crazy, man.
Oh man, like I'm thanking God for you, brother, that you were able to get out of that situation, man.
Yeah,
because it happens. It happens all the time. It just reminded me, like I think it was like, what was it, like 2 weeks ago at Bible study, our pastor was giving us an example because we've been doing a study of Proverbs and we're in the part where they talk about the adulterous woman and things of that nature.
Right.
And he had given an example without kind of going into his business, but he had just shared an instance similar to the one that you had. It was a woman at work,
right, and
things was kind of going rough in the marriage, and what ended up happening is they wanted to send him off,
on a trip with
her, and he was like, I can't do that. Can't do that. And like he told us, like he went in and told his boss, like, I can't go on this trip. And his boss was like, yo, you have to go on this trip. Like you are required to go on this trip. And he was just like, if you don't go on this trip, you will lose your job. And similar to you, he was like, well, you can have this job because I can't go on this trip.
Exactly.
And thankfully in that situation, he didn't lose his job. His boss came over and was like, yo, it must be something really serious for you to not want to go on this trip. And, he was just like, well, we going to send somebody else. And, thankfully everything was able to, go by. But you got to think about having that insight from God. God, you know how they talk about in the word, Prophet Josiah, where they say, we always have an escape, right?
Right. Exactly.
Man.
There's always an escape.
Yes. You got to be looking for it. Most people wouldn't think about, hey, well, I'm going to go and say, you can have this job. Like, is your marriage more important than the job? It got to be. It has to be. And in that instance, you the same thing with you. Like, listen, I got fired and I'm leaving the building with a smile because my marriage means more to me than keeping this job. And I'm so glad to get away from this lady.
Right. And you know what happened too? After I got fired, I told my wife, I came home and I said, you know what? I'm saying, because this whole time that this was happening, I wasn't telling my wife about the struggle I was having at work because we was always arguing and da-da-da. And I didn't want to make our arguments worse because I didn't want her to think I was trying to cheat on her or anything like that. And I'm saying after I got fired, I told her, I said, man, it's this chick at work. She was this and that. And I felt like she was trying to get at me. And all of a sudden, the arguments that we were having just disappeared. And it turned into, how come you didn't tell me that? And I was like, well, because I didn't want to make our arguments worse. And I didn't want you to think I was like secretly trying to cheat on you or whatever. And she was like, I'm saying, I could have been praying for you. I could have been walking up to your job and seeing about this chick. Like,
not that first one, praying. That was beautiful. Not that second one.
She was like, what I'm saying, just so she know that I'm here with you. I was like, yo, I should have did that. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's important too, like you said, you have to know what your weaknesses are, and you have to know when you're weak. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to just jump out somewhere like, yo, I'm a Christian. I serve Christ. You know what I mean? Like your pastor gave, I can go on this trip.
Ooh, no.
I'm a Christian. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, I'm a pastor. You know what I'm saying?
and this is the thing. That was before he was a pastor.
Okay.
Just like, it's one of those instances where like you have to be so committed to what we were talking about earlier.
Right.
That covenant. Like, if you are not serious about that covenant that you have, that commitment that you have made to that other person, man, it will be a lot easier for you to be susceptible to things like this when they come around. You got to be willing to forego a job. You got to be willing to forego situations that you may want to stay in, but at what cost? You got to be like, no, my wife is more important than me keeping this job. Exactly. My wife is more important than me putting myself in a position where I could possibly compromise myself and our marriage and everything that we built. And here's the thing. It even goes beyond just the commitment to her. Like, there's another person that's involved in that marriage. If it's a God-ordained marriage, like, look, how am I going to be able to look him face to face knowing that I did this when he gave me a way out?
Exactly.
Go ahead. Let them know. How long have you been married?
Yeah, so I've been married. It'll be 15 years. And today is the 8th. Our anniversary is on the 19th of this month. So,
wow.
So it'll be 15 years in about a week or so. And and before we got married, we probably dated on and off for about, met my wife in 1998. We got married in 2002. So on and off for about 4 years.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And honestly, I definitely have made the assumption personally that you have been married at least 10 years. Just based on the thing that you were sharing, I was like, this is somebody that at least has a decade in this that's talking. Like, because here's the thing. Like, there are a lot of things that occur in marriage, but as I'm sure you can attest, like, everything usually just don't all pile in on 1 year.
Of course,
it kind of spreads itself out, and the longer you ride that thing out, the more things start to come up. So, yeah, man. Yeah, I really appreciate you for sharing that, and everything that you share is just so on point.